In this section, we're going to get started creating the player. We're going to start off and discuss the player and their functions being created. We're then going to go ahead and create a new node scene for the player. After that, we're going to make sure to add all the nodes for the player, including collisions, hitboxes, animations, timers, and everything else. Now let's go ahead and jump right in. This here represents the majority of the nodes we're going to add to the player. Starting off on the top left, we're going to create a shoot controller. We're going to have a specific script on this node that's going to be responsible for controlling all the shooting functionalities, such as aiming, spawning in new bullets, and of course reloading. The next node we're going to create is the player body. The player body is going to house everything that makes the player visible, such as the animations, specific attacks, and new weapons. We're then going to go ahead and create those animations. We're going to keep it real simple with only a handful, such as an idle animation when the player is not moving, a walking one, an aiming one, and a getting hurt one. Next up, we're going to have to build a specific node for the knife attack. The reason we're doing this is because the current asset pack we have does not have a knife attack, so we're going to create our own. After that, we're going to go ahead and create our hitbox. Our hitbox is responsible for initiating the hurt function when a zombie hits us. After that, we'll go ahead and create a camera 2D on our player. This camera will simply follow around the player. We'll also add a simple script to make a shake effect when hit by a zombie. After that, we're going to go ahead and add some timers. The timers are going to be responsible for a couple things, such as time in between shots, time getting hurt, and time reloading. The last nodes we're going to create are going to be the sound effects. The sound effects will give a little bit more life to our game. Alright, let's go ahead and get started creating the player. So let's go ahead and create a new scene for the player. On the top left, scene, new scene, other node, and let's use the base node as a character body 2D. Now that it's created, let's rename it as all lowercase player. Let's go ahead and save that real quick. Make sure we're saving it in the components folder. Next up, we'll add our first node. We're going to right click, add child node, and we're going to add just a simple node 2D, and this is going to represent our shoot controller. Now we're not going to have anything in this node yet, because eventually we'll attach a script on it in the next few sections. Let's move on to the next node. We're going to create the player's body. So everything in the player's body is going to represent the visual that you see when you play the game. So let's go ahead, right click on the player node, add child node, add another node 2D. Let's rename this as all lowercase body. Now in body, we're going to add a couple things. I found it easier just to add individual sprite 2Ds instead of creating an entire new animation for it. So let's start it off, right click, add child node, simply add a sprite 2D. This will be our first one, which is going to be our idle position when the player is not moving. Now all we need is the image for it, so let's go into art, Kenny _ drop down shooter, PNG, and I'm going to specifically use the blue man one. You can use whichever one you want. Just make sure you're using the _ stand. Drag and drop it in, and we're set. Now, I would adjust this just a little bit so it makes it look a little bit better when we put it on the map. So make sure you're selecting it. Let's increase the size just a bit under transform. Change the scale simply to 1.3 for X and Y. Now another thing you can also do is go to the texture and change the filter from inherit to nearest to make it a little more clear. Let's go ahead and create our next one now. This one's going to be our attacking sprites. So let's right click on body, add child node, add another node 2D, and let's just change this as attack, capital S sprites. Now in attack sprites, we're just going to add 3 different sprite 2Ds, just like we did with idle. So I'm going to take idle, copy it, and drag and drop it into that new node we just added. Let's go ahead and create the first one, call it pistol. Now for pistol, we're going to go ahead, locate the one where he's holding the pistol. It should be the first one, and just drag and drop it in just like that. Now, what I would do also is just adjust the positioning. As you can see, it backs it out just a little bit, so make sure you just push it in a bit. Doesn't need to be perfect, just similar to it. Let's do the next one. Control D on pistol. This will be for the silencer. Then all you got to do, drag and drop in the silencer. Should be this one here. Simply drag and drop it in, just like that. Again, if you want to adjust, you can. That's up to you. One more now, Control D. This is going to be for the machine gun, so let's type in machine. And then simply drag and drop in the machine sprite. And there we go. Nice. All right, next one is going to be the knife one. So let's go ahead and close up the attack sprites. Right click on body, add child node. And we're going to go ahead, use a sprite 2D as the main node for this. Let's change the name, all lowercase, knife. Now knife, we're going to have to build our own because there is no default image for it. So let's go ahead and choose the man blue underscore hold.png, drag and drop it in. Make sure it's the same as the others, so go ahead to transform 1.2 for X and Y. Don't forget the texture, change it to inherit to nearest. And then go ahead and make sure the positioning is also correct. I'm going to turn off the idle one and also the attack sprite so we can see this a little better. But now we need to add the actual knives. So let's go ahead, right click, add child node, add another sprite 2D. This will represent the knife on the top, and then we'll do another on the bottom. Now we just need to locate the knife image. Let's go ahead, open up tiles. And if I remember, it should be around 200. So let's scroll all the way down until we get to around 200. Maybe 240. And there it is. Yep, 241. Let's simply drag and drop it on the sprite 2D. Then we just need to position it correctly. So what we're going to do is we're going to rotate it a bit to about there. Position it on the player's hand. Maybe a little less rotation. Move it on up. Then we can adjust the positioning. Let's select it and go to visibility. And then select show behind parent. So it looks like they're holding their weapon. Looks good. All right, let's do the other one. Control D on that. Let's flip the image, go to offset, and flip H value. Then all we got to do is adjust the positioning to match up. And then adjust it there. And again, you can always customize this how you want, but I think this looks pretty good overall. So I'm going to keep it as is. Let's go ahead, save that real quick. And we can turn off the knife positioning just like that. Close up the body. Next up, let's add a couple of area 2Ds. So these area 2Ds are going to be the reactions. So let's go ahead. Let's add a new one. Right click on player, add child node, add an area 2D. And let's go ahead, right click on area 2D. And we're simply going to add a collision shape. And then eventually we're going to connect a signal to this, but we want to make sure that this is surrounding the player perfectly. So go back in the body, turn on idle, and just make sure the shape that we make for this on the right is about similar to the shape of the player. Now we are going to give them an actual body shape so they can't walk through walls. So make this one a little bit bigger than their current box, about this size. Now one more area 2D we could add also is for the knife. We could add a simple area so when the zombie goes into it, the zombie will get hurt. Let's go ahead, turn the knife image back on, right click on knife, add another area 2D, but this one we need to give a specific group tag. So let's go ahead, select the main node, go all the way up to node, and just add a new one. We're just going to call this knife, all lowercase. Then let's give it the shape, right click on it, another collision shape 2D. Let's add another box and simply just surround the knives at the end of the player. Just like this. Looks good. Let's save those changes, turn off the knife image, and keep idle on just like that. All right, next up, we need the aim area. So that's where the bullet is going to spawn. Let's right click on player. We're just going to use a simple node 2D for this. And so we can make sure that the positioning is correct. Let's go back into body and turn on the attacking sprites. Let's rename the aim as aim. There we go. And let's put it right in front of the player, a little bit towards there, so it still looks like we're shooting forward. We can always adjust that later. All right, next up, let's add the camera 2D. Let's right click on player, add child node, add that camera 2D. It'll automatically surround the player. The only thing we need to enable here is simply the position smoothing. So go ahead, open that up, and select on. You can adjust the speed if you want to, but 5 should be good for this type of game. Let's move on to the next couple nodes. These are going to be the timers. So let's right click on player, add child node. Let's add our first timer. Let's go ahead, let's call this timer knife attack, because we're going to have a limited time for that. So knife attack. We'll attach a signal to it later. Let's copy that, create another one. This one here, we'll call it timer reload. That'll be our reload time that it takes. And then one more. This will be the hurting timer. Timer hurting. And again, we'll set the settings later once we get into the signals for them. All right. Now, next thing we can do, we can add the actual body to the player. That's why we're getting this little warning right here. So let's do that real quick. Right click on player, add child node, add a collision shape. Let's create a new box. And we're just going to wrap this inside of the hitbox. Doesn't need to be perfect, but I'm going to make it look just like this. If you want to see it a little better, I recommend changing the debug color to something the opposite of the current color, just like that. Next up, let's go ahead and create the sound effects node. So let's right click on player node. We'll give this a parent node and just call this sounds. And we're not going to have too many sounds in here, just a couple simple ones. We can locate the sounds, so we scroll up. And I don't think there's any in this top-down shooter asset pack, but we do have some in the UI pack, so I'm going to open that up, open up sounds, and then we can simply just drag and drop in a couple sounds, and you can choose the best ones that you want. I'm just going to use the click one on the top for the shooting, so I'm going to go ahead, drag and drop it in, change the name to shoot, and then for switch -B, that's going to be the knife attack, so let's drag and drop that into sound, change the name to knife. And then the last one, the tap B, that one sounds kind of like a game over. So I'm going to go ahead, drag and drop that into sounds. And I'm going to call this one just hurt. All right, final thing we need to do is add the hurting animation. And there's a really simple way we can do this. All we have to do is create a new node on the player node, an animation player 2D, and then we're going to create a new animation. First one we're going to call is simply idle. Now idle is going to be the resetting one, and all we have to do is select the main player node, and we're simply going to go to visibility and keep the modulate color as is, just like this, so we can key value that to save that value, hit create. Then we'll create the actual hurting one, so go ahead, call this one hurting. And then we're just going to give it a nice red flashing effect. So let's go ahead, start it off at red on modulate, which will change all the sprites underneath. So go ahead, just like that. You can save the value if you want. Key that value. Now let's go to 0.2. Change it back to the original. Key that value. Go to 0.4. Change it to the red. Key the value, and then back to the original at 0.6, sliding it all the way up. Save that value. Then we want to make sure to limit this, so go ahead, make the max to 0.6. Then if you hit play, you'll see the actual hurting effect. Looks great. And with that, I think we're looking good. Let's close out of there. Save what you got. And there we go.